Hello, America, and to our friends around the world, greetings and welcome back to March is Women's Month. Today, we're taking our focus outside of North America and aiming it in the land down under. This is a lengthy read, and this was at the conclusion of the article. Where to get help if you're in danger now. Phone the police, ask neighbors, friends, run outside. Head for where there are other people. Scream for help. Um, I mean, those aren't bad, I guess. I don't know. But this is where the article is tone deaf. It's about a boy being abused by this unrepentant mother. Says, take the children with you. If you're being abused, remember, it's not your fault. Violence is never okay. That one is appropriate. But right after that, women's refuge. Where is this boy going to go in a freaking feminazi world where there aren't any refuges that take boys over the age of 12? Keep that in mind as we go over this. There aren't any domestic abuse shelters for men or boys. Erin Pizzey, if you're not aware, was a domestic interventionist activist who recognized that domestic abuse was bad. But one thing that she was renowned for, and the reason she was ran out of her own programs that she started, her own missions, her own rescues, was because she held women equally accountable for the violence they had done to others, whether it's other women, other men, their children, other children. She held them to account and she got railroaded out of her own organizations as a result because of the power of the women's advocacy groups that are rampant in society. The gynocracy is synonymous with women's supremacy and abuse of others. And as long as society turns a blind eye to it, we're going to continue seeing these escalations that I'm about to, you know, read through here for you, as well as what I've been recounting throughout this month for you to take these links that are in the description. It's the reason I've archived them so that they aren't purged from, whatever news source they were originated from. That way you can get them, print them up, and use them to submit to anybody who makes policy, anyone who votes on legislation. All right. I wanted to point this out, and I'll conclude with this card towards the end. But this one, I wanted to illustrate it. There aren't there aren't any boys and men's domestic abuse shelters or protections. It's just not there. Not only are there none or very few, you get some place that's as large as the United States and you have two out of the entire country. Yeah, do some deep diving into this. This is a road that I encourage any of you to go down and look at it. Look at the numbers. I mean, it's easily like a 1,000 to 1 disparity ratio. And when you look at the violence statistics, just of what's reported, and this is underreported, women commit easily 47% of the domestic abuse, domestic violence as men, which means it's a pretty even split, 53-47. And that's just because we're not including men who've been emotionally manipulated and blackmailed into doing a deed, such as the school teacher who got her student to go and to bring a weapon to take out her colleagues. That was in February. Uh, and tying into law enforcement, they have the same legal continuing education requirements as attorneys and court officers and agents, and that is all funded by women's pro advocacy. That it's always the woman the victim and the man the perpetrator, which is a fallacy that, as I said, Erin Pizzey called out. And look into her, Erin Pizzey, Erin, Echo Romeo India November, Pizzey, Papa India Zulu Zulu Echo Yankee. All right, Auckland woman Selica Wright, who stabbed, burned, forced boy to eat feces, jailed for horrific abuse. Just, it comes off right off the bat with a warning. All right, so let's get into this warning. Distressing content. West Auckland woman repeatedly subjected boy to horrific torture, including stabbing with a chef's knife, screwdriver, forcing him to eat feces, pouring boiling water onto him, and encouraging him to commit suicide. They call it a lengthy term of imprisonment. She's been ordered to serve a length. No, there's no. There's only really at this point. There's only two options that are on the table, and I've already said it in another video what those options are, and I don't want to become associated with pushing it because I don't like it. I don't like the permanence of the one. All right, so Selica Romana Wright is 34 years old, Auckland, New Zealand, and prosecutors are adamant that she remains unrepentant, using her own words that, as I've said before in other videos, your letters and telephone calls, they're monitored. And I'm not saying this to get anybody to avoid it. I love it. I love it, the fact that they don't seem to understand that these communications are monitored. She is quoted as saying, "Ha ha, do it all again in a heartbeat. No regrets for me, only that I didn't do it properly. LOL." That is a very disgusting, vile woman. And look at her picture. She is fucking ugly as sin. Sorry for the language. You know, no wonder she's a murderous pig. Look at her. She's hate personified just by her appearance. The judge noted that defense took issue with the term torture. So the judge read the definition. In my view, that term is entirely appropriate, she concluded, describing the extreme violence and sadistic nature of the offending as a level rarely seen in New Zealand courts. It is clear the victim would like you to be locked up as long as possible. She ordered a sentence of 10 and a half years of imprisonment. That is crap. It needs to be lifetime or permanent. It goes on to say in October of 23, this boy, he's a teenager. He escaped to a neighbor's home, asked for help. And his injuries were a broken spine. It started in January of 2023 with her slapping or kicking him when angry over insignificant events or problems with her private life. But the frequency and seriousness of the assaults steadily increased. Yeah, it's called testing the water. She was slow boiling the frog to see how serious our gynocracy, our feminist leaders would actually do something to protect a boy. And they did nothing. They let this demon nearly murder this boy in a torturous hellscape for what, 2 years? She used a hammer. She struck him on the head, the body, the legs, the knees, the feet, his back, arms, hands. It's obscene. This woman is allowed to exist. She used a sword and a spade. She used a flat surface and the pommel. The pommel's the grip. To beat him. She'd whack him on the with the flat of the sword and then hit him. And then she stabbed him and cut him on his stomach and arms. Tell me why this woman is only getting 10 years. You know what else? The guy was her slave. She made him, do everything. He's cleaning out the freezer and he spilled something, and she goes, "Oh, you better, I'm going to count down." So you know, and then she grabs a screwdriver and counts down from 5 as he's cleaning it up, and then she just pounds on him with the screwdriver over and over into the back of his head. And the bleeding didn't just stop, it kept bleeding for days. Anybody who's had a head injury knows that head bleeding goes and goes and goes. It didn't matter how much he screamed, because she would use, chemicals, something called genola, to try to cauterize the wound, I guess, to seal it, after glue didn't work. I mean, this woman is an absolute demon. Tell me again. Tell me, what reason is 10 years considered a lengthy sentence? It's not. You can go to the link and read the whole thing for yourself in its entirety. And I would, I encourage you to do so, because this is a vile, vile, disgusting woman. Um, she sees the burn damage that she's done by the chemical and told him it was ugly. Yeah, and let's see. She later noticed the burn damaged skin and told him it was ugly before again spraying his wounds with genola. "I don't give a F," she responded, spraying the cleaning solvent into his face and mouth when he began to scream at it and say it hurt. Another time, she used a chef's knife to stab him about the body, including a deep wound deep enough to cause air to enter his chest cavity. I mean, go to the website, the linked archive. Look at how fucking fat and ugly this woman is. And all she does is selfie pictures. The puckered lips and the angles of trying to hide how fat she is. They had to put a glass screen between her and the rest of the court so that nobody did justice to her. And had somebody had done justice, they would be getting praise in my based men videos, most likely, that because of who it was, they would be getting praise for doing the right thing. Society can't exist with a demon such as this. As long as this Selica Wright exists, you cannot have a healthy society. Her own words, she wishes she could do it better, that she would have done it right. And it took all this time, for her to, be arrested. So she tells the guy, the boy, that he should kill himself via hanging. And he's like, he has such a strong will to live and to survive that he refused to take that exit. If you watch any other YouTube videos of, to better yourself and such, Bo Refik of Legion of Men was profiling this guy, was whining about being short. "Oh, short men don't catch a break. Oh, its life is so, it's on not just hard mode, it's on extraordinarily hard mode." This teenager, his life's on hard mode, on ultra difficulty level. I have no idea, if he's able to walk, let alone, anything else. But broken spines, broken skulls, broken ribs and bones and hands and lashes that are so deep that it, you know, punctures his cavity, his chest, his torso. So this woman, when he said he wasn't going to follow her advice to end himself, she said, "Well, I'll do it for you." Apparently, she wasn't going to follow through on it. I don't believe her. But what she did next was force him to eat dog feces, and she wouldn't let him drink anything afterward to clean his mouth. So he escaped to somebody else's home, to a relative. A relative let him go back. Disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. This is the state of women in our society today. This is sugar and spice my ass. This is not. No, women are disgusting, vile, demon possessed monsters. I'm not going to bother reading the rest of this. Go and read it for yourself. I've already gone on this tirade for 16 some minutes. But the fact that they got to pad it with that stupid women's shelters, if you're in danger, fuck, screw them. They're the they're the abusers going after a child with a meat cleaver. Insanity. You need to understand the impact of what you do and what you say. The judge tells her they are not just words. They cause real harm to people and they don't deserve it. As a condition of her intensive supervision, Wright is ordered to attend any anger management programs or counseling as ordered by her probation officer. This is absolutely insane. This is right up there with Melody Johnson out of Arizona, who poisoned her husband for months, getting probation and anger management counseling. This is absolutely disgusting. That the woman judge is just as evil as this Selena. What's her name? Selena. Um, thank you for bearing with me. Selica Romana Wright. This judge is just as vile for making these lame 10-year sentence and ridiculously stupid probation things. This woman should never be allowed out. And if she is, I pray that the right individual does the right thing. And closing, as I said, I wanted to end with this. Now that you've heard this story, I want you to really focus on it. Where to go for help or more information? Women's refuge crisis. F them.